Hi, welcome to another edition of Antique Radio Archaeology. Today we're going to do a semi-permanent Bluetooth modification to a 1948 Westinghouse H-204A radio. Now, you may recognize this radio from a previous video. This is the one I restored earlier. And what I mean by semi-permanent Bluetooth modification is that I'm going to install this Bluetooth receiver, power supply, and associated components into the radio in a permanent fashion as far as the user is concerned, but it will actually be removable if need be to restore it to its original configuration. Now it will take some effort to restore it back, but it won't cause any permanent damage, or the modifications will be transparent once everything is removed. So let's go ahead and get started on how we're going to go about doing this. To do this modification, I'm going to need some stuff, and I went ahead and picked up most of the stuff on Amazon. You can pick it up from other sources as well, eBay. You can go to the any electronic supply site and pick up some of this stuff. But these are Amazon prices and components, so I'm going to go ahead and show you what I've got and how much this is going to cost us. So first of all, we definitely need a Bluetooth receiver. Now, I'm not going to post the links to these. The reason being is links expire. So you can take a look at what the going rate is on them by doing a search for these particular items. But the Bluetooth receivers, I picked up 2 in a pack for $6. I also needed a project box, so I picked up a package of 4 of those for $10, and I only need one, so we're talking $2.50 for this project. Single pole double throw switches. This is a switch that goes on and on. So I picked up a package of 10 of these, and I only paid $11, so it's $1.10 for one switch that I'll need. I also picked up a bag of USB chargers. They were 5 to a package. I got these for $12, so we're talking $2.40 for one of them. I'm also going to need some cable. I've got some 2 pair shielded and 1 pair shielded. The 2 pair shielded cable goes for $32 for a roll of 100 feet. The 1 pair shielded goes for $19 for 125 feet. So we're talking 60 cents and 30 cents for the amount that I'm going to need for this project. The only reason I'm showing you this is I didn't buy the rolls. I actually have some on hand in my garage, so if you happen to have cable, that's great, but it's important that you use shielded cable, and we'll get into that as I get into this video. So the last thing is we're going to need some heat shrink and some hardware. Heat shrink you can pick up pretty much online, and also we need a couple of resistors. I picked up this whole box of resistors, and they were $12 for this box of 1/4 watt resistors, and they do contain the 2 1K resistors I need for the project. I'm also going to need a capacitor. There is a package of capacitors that you can pick up on Amazon. 0.0022 is the value on them, and that was $7 for the package. Only need one, so we're talking 70 cents. So the total cost for all these items is $11 if you're just counting the cost of just the one modification. And of course you have stuff to make more than one modification. If you pick up a few more, you can make several modifications. So let's talk a little bit about how we're going to do this particular modification. First of all, let's take a look at the schematic. I went ahead and drew in a little schematic of my project box with the Bluetooth module and power supply inside the box. And the way this works is I'm going to go ahead and attach the power supply to the power switch on the radio. One side is going to go to the switch, the other side is going to go to the chassis ground. Now the chassis ground has to be on the neutral of the electrical plug. That's why it's real important to make sure that you have a polarized plug when you're doing this. If you switch those, or if you don't have that polarized plug and you switch it around, you're going to have voltage on that ground of the Bluetooth, and that's not going to be good. It's going to cause problems. So the power supply card here that's going inside the project box, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bust this thing open and pull the little circuit card out of it and use that for my 5-volt power supply. That's going to supply voltage to the Bluetooth receiver. Then I'm going to have my left and right audio. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a couple of 1K resistors, which are right here, and I'm going to tie them to the left and right channels. And then I'm going to take the two 1K resistors, I'm going to twist the ends together, and then I'm going to attach this capacitor. This is a 0.002 microfarad capacitor. What that's going to do is it's going to keep any voltages from feeding back into the Bluetooth module, any DC voltage. And it's also going to allow me to pass the audio out. So that's how that part works. And then I'm going to go into shielded cable going to this single pole double throw switch. This switch is going to be mounted on the back of the radio. I'm going to use one of the vent holes in the existing back so that I don't have to drill any new holes to make this happen. So with that switch, I'm going to be able to switch between this Bluetooth module and the AM portion of this radio. Now the AM is coming in here and it's being fed through the shielded cable up to the other side of this single pole double throw switch. And whichever position the switch is in, whether it's in the AM side or the Bluetooth side, is going to allow that appropriate audio to pass over here to this selector switch into the volume control and out the radio through the AM/FM detector, and then eventually through the output amplifier and the existing radio speaker. The beauty of all this is the fact that I'm using the radio itself, not external garbage to reproduce this audio. And the other thing that is good about this configuration is the fact that so you have full function of this radio. All you're doing is you're using this switch on the back to switch between the AM and the Bluetooth. So the FM will still work off that selector. So you have still a fully operational radio with the addition of Bluetooth via that switch. And note the shielded cable. Shielded on the power, shielded on the audio. It's extremely important to use shielded cable and to chassis ground all the shields. And the way you do that is you take one side of that shield and you tie it to the chassis. The reason for that is you're going to have all kinds of hum and crosstalk on here. Now I am going to warn you, there is going to be a little bit of crosstalk over that AM. You just can't avoid it on this radio without pulling out one of the tubes or something like that. The way I deal with that is basically when you go to Bluetooth, just knock the AM off station so it's not on a station. If it's not on a station, you're not going to hear any crosstalk. So that's how we solve that issue. But this does work very well, and it's very clear and distinct, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy this modification. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this thing broken open. There we go. First thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and get rid of this and this. These two prongs, they were attached to the plug prongs, so don't need them, and I don't want that 120 volts to be exposed. The other thing is getting rid of this right here. I don't need this. I just need 5 volts, which I will go ahead and figure out where that's at on here, and plug some wires in there so that we can wire this to the Bluetooth module. So let's go ahead and get those pulled off. Okay, one down. Two down. There we go. Alright. Okay, you got shielded cable. Since the other end of this is going to be grounded, I'm going to go ahead and cut off the shield on this end. Okay, so okay. So that's power going in. Okay, now that I got this installed here for the AC, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and wire nut a plug, an actual power cord on here. This is just temporary. But what it's going to do is it's going to allow me to power this up and figure out where the 5 volts are. Pretty sure I know where it's at, so I'm just going to verify it. Okay, so I got it plugged in. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this side here and that right there is my 5 volts. So this pad here, that pad there, is 5 volts. Okay. It's 2. Yep, 5 volts. Okay. Alright, so now I need to go ahead and pull out this Bluetooth module. Power supply is unplugged. As you can see, I have a plus minus for battery. So what I'm going to do is so got my plus and minus hooked up. And I should be able to plug this in. See if we got Bluetooth. As you can see, flashing light. Got power to Bluetooth. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit my connections. I'm going to go to Bluetooth. And there we go, right there. That's the new module. Pair it. And now I'm connected for audio. Okay. Okay, so I went ahead and hooked up a pair of headphones. Got a little Bluetooth connection, a TikTok video. Okay, so we do have audio. It is working. So if you look real close, you can see I have right, left, and ground. What I need to do is hook my two resistors to the left and right channels. I need to hook a wire to ground, so let's go ahead and take care of that. Okay, there's the ground. Alright, there's the left channel. My next step here is going to be, I need to put these in the project box, and before I do that I need to cut a couple of holes. Alright, Alright, there we go. Alright, there's my Bluetooth module. So I've gone ahead and I've already tested out the radio to make sure everything's working. AM, FM, everything's fine. So now what we're going to do, I went ahead and pulled the screws out the back. So I can go ahead and disassemble this. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and mount this bracket in here and then flip this box around. Don't have enough room to leave the bracket like this, so it'll just be flipped over, that's all. All right. Here's my power cable. Alright, so I have a shield down here that I can tie it to. I'll go ahead and solder that. I'm going to go ahead and tie this shield down here. Okay, so that is the power. Okay, so now that this here needs to be tied to ground, that lug there is tied to ground here, so I'm going to go ahead and use that as my ground. So what I have here is my 2-pair shielded. I've already got this end finished. I only need 3 of these wires, and I need the shield disconnected up here. This is going to be on the switch side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the green, black, and red. So I do not need those. Okay. Alright, so there's the switch. Now my next step is I'm going to put the switch through here. Little hole in the chassis, already existing. Alright, so I need to give it some slack because this door is going to swing open, so I need to have a little bit of room there. Alright. Okay, so there we go. There's our shields. These will be shields. Alright. So those three I need. All the shields I need. Okay, so what I got to do here is this green wire here is going to go to this resistor, and this green wire here is going to go over there as well, so that this will go to the switch. So I got to put all this together. These two reds go together. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a quick recap of everything that we've done. Now obviously I went ahead and put together the power supply and the Bluetooth module inside this box. We've attached the box to the chassis, and we've got our audio coming out and our ground. Here's our ground, here's our audio, and it's coming into this wire here going up back here to this switch, which is right here, that single pole double throw switch. So that is complete. On the power side, we went ahead and ran our power down over here, and I got it on the switch, which is over here at this switch, and then I went ahead and grounded the other side down here. And I also tied the shield to ground back over here. And this shield here for this is tied back down there. And my AM, which is coming from here through this shielded cable here, is coming over, and it hits the switch right here. And it goes in on this green wire, which comes in here and goes up to this switch here. Now it switches between the green wire, which is here, and the red wire, which is here on the Bluetooth box. And the black wire I've got here tied to the wafer switch right here. So that comes up here, over here, and hits the center pin on this switch back here. So all of that's tied together. We now have the ability to switch between AM and Bluetooth. So let's go ahead and test this thing out. Go ahead and turn it on. I am on FM right now.
Accident attorneys. Call Bader Scott, 404-888-8888. That's 404-8...
Alright, let's go ahead and switch over to AM.
On the 2022 Ram 1500 Bighorn and Laramie. Not compatible with any other offer. 0% APR financing for 72 months equals $13.89 per month for 1,000 finance for well-qualified.
Pizza lovers get it. Lots to navigate here. Race lineup looks like this tonight with Ronald Acuna Jr. leading off.
Okay, AM works now. To switch over to Bluetooth, what I need to do is I need to let me knock this off the frequency a little bit. Switch the switch, and now I should be hooked, already paired. That's it. Pause. Back to AM.
That's just a spoiler. You should make people have to wait for the game.
Oh,
Aren't we trying to push people towards the game?
That's it.
Let's see who walks out of the dugout
Drop it
next.
as a tease.
So as you can see, it's not impossible to install a Bluetooth module into an antique radio and not destroy the antique value of the radio. Now, I am tired of seeing these radios destroyed for the sake of Bluetooth modifications. I just did a modification that doesn't destroy the radio. Everything I did can be easily reversed, provided somebody does it that knows what they're doing. I've got the schematic marked up to show the modification, and it's pretty easy just looking at the markups, how to reverse it all, how to pull it all back out. I didn't do any damage to the radio, so once you pull it all out, you'll never know it was ever there. But, you know, why pull it out? It's actually kind of a neat little feature. Plus, I can still play the AM, I can still play the FM. It's still a usable antique radio. And I've also shown other videos previously. I did a video on the talking home transmitter, which allows you to basically create your own radio station in your house so that you can use the antique radio without doing any modifications. You can just tune to that channel that you're broadcasting and play your music that way. Another option would be, which I really haven't done a video on, but you can put a little mini jack on the back of the chassis. And yeah, that's going to actually modify the chassis because you're going to have to drill a hole in it. But that's an option too. And then you can plug something into it. You need to make sure that you've got a neutral chassis by using a polarized plug and making sure that there's only one way of getting that plug plugged into the chassis. But that is another option. That way you can add a Bluetooth module externally. I also showed you the Thompson adapter. That's a little adapter that basically plugs into a tube socket. You put another tube in it on top of it, and it's the same thing. It has a little switch on it, and you can use that to pump audio into the radio if you so desire. So those are several different ways of doing this. The one thing that I have not done is rip the guts out of a radio and put a Bluetooth speaker in it. You don't need to do that. So please, please, consider doing something different if you're going to, if you really insist on having Bluetooth on your radio. Try this modification. It's not that difficult. It really isn't. It takes a little bit of effort, and yeah, you're going to have to play around with it a little bit. Every radio is a little different. The layout's going to be different. The way you're going to mount things are going to be different. I'll tell you right now, a console radio is awesome to do it on because of the fact that you can put the Bluetooth stuff far enough away from everything that you don't have to worry about all the interference stuff that I had to deal with when I was doing all the shielded cables. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you'd like to see more content like this, please hit subscribe if you haven't already done so. In the meantime, happy restorations, everybody.